and this is an engine building train game that uses primarily just cards in order to play the game, and this is a re-implementation of the game Isle of Trains. This is going to be a complete rework on the game. There's going to be a brand new rulebook, brand new artwork, and additional content added to the game as well that I think will improve the game quite a bit. But basically this is a competitive game where players are going to be setting up a main board which is going to consist of 7 different locations, and these different locations are essentially just different objective cards that players can try to complete throughout the game. And there's going to be 6 destination cards put out as well, and players can deliver different types of passengers to these locations in order to gain the bonuses there. And each player starts the game with their own train engine card, which they'll just put on the table in front of them. And then every player is going to draw 5 more cards from the shared deck, as well as draw 2 random passengers from the draw bag. 3 cards will also be revealed from the shared deck face up, and this will act as the shared market. But on a player's turn, there's a few different actions that you can choose from, and the first one is the take action, and this just allows you to take one of those cards from the shared market, or instead you could take a card from the top of the deck, or if you don't need another card, you can instead choose to draw a passenger from the draw bag. And then there's the build action, which allows you to play one of the cards from your hand, but in order to do that, you're going to have to pay the cost associated with it, which is going to tell you how many cards from your hand you need to discard in order to play that card. And there's a couple types of cards that you can play. There's the Locomotive Cards, which will get added to your train, and these can have different capacities for passengers or different types of resources. And then there are the building cards, and when you build those, you'll just be putting those out in front of you, and those will give you a special ability or some sort of benefit for the rest of the game. But the cool thing about these cards is that they're all going to be categorized into different types, and some cards within each type will be better than others, but they'll also be more expensive, so they'll be more difficult to purchase right off the bat. But if you've already built a card of that type, you can upgrade it to the better one just by paying the difference between the 2 cards. And another action you can do is the load action, and this is going to allow you to load one of your passengers into any train car that is currently out on the table. And the catch here is that you can load it into your own car, but you don't get any benefit for that immediately. But if you do load passengers into an opponent's car, you will get a benefit or some sort of bonus associated with that. But there are pros and cons to doing this, because the final action that you can perform is the deliver action, and this will allow you to deliver different passengers or resources in order to complete different objectives or get special bonuses. So you might want to be careful with the opportunities that you're giving to the other players. And an important thing to note when you perform this action is that you can deliver as many resources or passengers as you like to a single location. So you might want to gather up a few tokens before you perform this action. When you deliver passengers, they're going to go onto those destination cards, and you're always going to put them on the spaces from left to right, and there's only 3 spaces on each card before it gets filled. But when you do that, you're going to gain the benefit for each space that you were able to put a passenger on. But instead of taking passengers, you can choose to take one of the location cards from the center of the board, and you can only ever have one of these in your possession unfulfilled at a time, so you won't be able to take another one until you fulfill the requirements of that card, and that's going to require you to have a certain amount of resources of some different types in order to complete it. And these cards are going to be the main way that you get victory points throughout the game, but some of the building and locomotive cards can also give you victory points as well. And once a certain amount of those location and destination cards are completed, that's going to trigger the end of the game, and whoever gets the most victory points wins the game. And this one's going to be my personal pick of the week. I think this game provides quite a lot in a small package and with a small rules overhead, and I really like the additions that they added to the game from the original with the way that the passengers work. And another reason that I made this one my pick of the week is that I can already see it's going to be offered at a very reasonable price point, and they do have the full rule set on their campaign. And since this is a re-implementation of a pre-existing game, you may have already played it, or if you haven't, it is out there available for you to try. And they do also have a tabletop simulator version of the game if you want to go ahead and try it digitally, and I'm sure they'll have a link to that on their campaign, but we also have a link to it on our Discord as well if you want to check out our Discord in the description below.